Hogstye.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the show. It's the Hogsty. It is the day of football starting. If you're listening to this on Thursday, if you're listening to it on Friday, there's some weird game in Brazil going on. We're just going to call it the Brazilian game, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It seems stupid.
Hopefully, no players get like mugs down there in Brazil.
So I was listening to the radio and they were talking about the safety list, the list of safety regulations for players.
Yeah, don't leave your hotel. That's what safety regulation
one of them.
is.
Basically, go from the bus to the hotel. Do not give eye contact to people. Do not wander away from the hotel. Do not bring jewelry. Do not bring your wallets. Do not bring your family. Do not do anything.
Why the heck is the NFL doing this?
It's the stupidest thing.
Obviously it's business, okay? But I mean, my goodness, pick a better place.
I mean,
but of course, you let that one key part though.
Mm-hmm.
Two teams whose base colors are green. By the way, don't wear green in the area down there because it's a gang affiliated color or something like that.
No, it's not even a gang thing. It's a soccer thing. You know, they take their soccer as seriously as gang members.
Yeah, there's
take
not
gangs.
a lot of difference between soccer fans and gangs.
Not in Brazil, no. They will just murder you for wearing green because that's their rival color.
Who is it? It's the Eagles and who are playing down here? Packers?
Yeah.
Is it the Eagles and the Packers?
Yep.
Yeah, that's not going to go well.
No. I think the Eagles will wear black and the Packers will wear all yellow. I don't really know how this is going to go.
Well, because how many do we want to take bets on how many idiot players are going to go out and cruise some bars for some Brazilian women anyway?
I'm gonna go conservative and say 3.
3?
Yeah, that's my.
I'm going. If you're setting the over, okay, I'll set the over and under at 5. You're going under.
I'm going under. Yeah.
I'm going over. I'm going way over.
Okay.
Dave.
So
Dave had an issue. Yeah. So Dave, the question was, I set the over and under at 5 for the number of idiot players who are going to leave their hotel and go cruise bars for Brazilian women despite being told not to.
Oh, I'm going to clear 5 easy.
Yeah,
I'll take the over on that all day.
Me too.
See, I'm saying 3, but here's my reason. There's these things called pimps, and they can just bring the women to the hotel.
You're overthinking it, man.
I think if they want women, there's an easy way to get women into the hotel. There always has been, there always will be.
Well, there may be a bimbo wrangler or somebody out there who can herd them in for them for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, I just think of 106 players and a bunch of coaches, more than 5 people are going to go out and in the streets of Rio and get in trouble.
I think if it was any other team but the Eagles playing the Packers, I might consider going under.
But it's the Eagles. They're used to being living in Philadelphia, so they think they can handle it.
They think
pretty much.
And for the record, though, it's not Rio. It's
it's not.
No, São Paulo.
So that's no better.
No, I don't know if there was a good solution to if you really wanted to do something in Central America.
No, there's not. Although there's safer countries than Brazil.
Right.
I guess.
There's just not as big an audience as in Brazil. Like Brazil for like concerts, like major stadium acts go to Brazil and they will put like 150,000 people. That it's a huge audience for American entertainment.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've seen Queen had that famous concert down there.
Yeah, but there's been a bunch. Rush went down there.
It's just the first one that popped in my mind because of the Queen movie that came out, and they did a great recreation of it. But it's a weird. I don't know where I'd put one if I really wanted to do one in South America, a game, but because it's just South America.
I would put it in some American stadium and put a green screen up and pretend it's in South America. That's what I would do.
Yeah,
why not?
Why didn't we do one in Puerto Rico before this? Maybe
Puerto Rico's not a heck of a lot better, and also they need to get 80,000 people into a stadium in Puerto Rico. And that's not. I guess
I don't think they have a stadium that size. You're right.
No. Nor do they have people who can afford to do it.
All I know is that when you have to go and debrief your players on more than a 2-page report of safety
Yeah.
of safety precautions and everything, you need to X that city off for playing the game down there.
Yeah,
That's just
I mean, Dave and I went overseas to some bad places to defend the country because that was what the
Right.
country asked for us. But I'll be damned if I'm going to do it for the NFL.
yeah, right.
Yeah. I went overseas to some bad places to help fight AIDS. We didn't win. We lost. I'm sorry. Yes, but I've been to some rough areas of the world myself with that. But yeah, it's a weird place to do it. But there is, like I said, I don't think there is like a great city in Central America you could do
No.
this at right now, or South America. We did have games in Mexico City a while back, and even that was kind of dicey, if I recall.
Well, Mexico City is not particularly safe.
Right,
I've looked into
Right.
this.
right,
It is gang-ridden and dangerous.
right. Well, most impoverished countries have a lot of that.
Well, Mexico in particular has got a
Yeah.
lot of, the drug thing is not
Yep.
just a Hollywood movie thing. There really
No.
are
No,
major,
no.
major, drug cartels down there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, good luck, everybody.
Yeah, be safe.
I hope
Yeah.
they are safe. And the whole like don't wear green thing is the funniest part of it. Like you picked two teams that wear green in a stadium where they actually have a law saying you're not allowed to wear green.
Well, it's Roger Goodell and
Yeah.
and company are they don't care. They're trying to
Yes.
sell the
It's
product.
all about money. It's all about the money for
One could
them.
say it's just business,
One could
which is our
yes.
bi-weekly sports business show for those of you who are interested in such things.
Yep. Well,
There you
and
go.
talking about the business of football, the Washington football team, also known as the Commanders, and I still don't like saying that. Yeah, I know.
Then don't be me
Yes.
and just say C words.
The Washington Seas, the WCs, water closets.
It's not a water closet.
Yeah. So they
Although, I
have
mean, they've dumped water closet contents on the fans at times.
allegedly. We'll get to that. We'll be talking about that in a little bit. But they did something smart and they extended right guard Sam Cosmi a 4-year deal, 45 million guaranteed, 74 million is the big magic number that doesn't really exist. We don't know all the details. Steve, you and I were talking. Obviously, we don't know the year by year breakdown. I always, whenever I see a multi-year deal like this, I just assume it voids after like 2 years because
Well, it's not going to void, but see, there's two ways to go here. And one, I
Right.
don't know. I don't think this is an extension. This might be a new contract. Just
it
FYI.
is. Yeah, I think you're right. It's a new
Yeah,
contract
not
because
that-
his
that part-
ends this year.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. But
Yeah.
So the 45 million could be almost all a signing bonus,
Right.
or it could be multiple years of a guaranteed base salary, and that drastically affects the salary cap. So
Right,
that's the part. When I said we don't have the details, that part we don't really know. But I think generally speaking, Alex, I mean you're right. I wouldn't say it voids, but by about year 3, most of these contracts are such where the dead cap is low enough where they can cut the person one way or
Right.
the other. And,
Yeah,
and
that's
not
what I
lose
meant
money.
by void. It's
Yeah.
Right.
there's an out year as you see it written in some
Right.
places. Yeah.
And well, the out year is different because a lot of times, like Patrick Mahomes' contract is a good example. Because Patrick Mahomes' contract has base salary guaranteed like 2 or 3 years out for most
Mhm.
years. And that is how a lot of contracts. Patrick Mahomes is kind of an extreme example. Most of them don't guarantee like years out like his does.
Right.
Right.
But some of them, usually they'll guarantee on like the 10th day of the new league year or something like that. And so that'll give teams like a week to decide after the new year begins whether or not they want to cut this player or let their salary guarantee. So that's the out year. Now the other way to go is again, there's like 45 million in guaranteed salary cap, and the
Mhm.
salary cap spread out over 4 years, and they have 2 void years at the end. I mean, there's a lot of ways to. We just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Either way, I assume we're all kind of pro re-signing Cosmi. He's been a solid guard for them. I know the numbers always probably on the higher end for a guard. I mean, we're averaging something like 18 million just roughly based off of that. Like if you just do 74 divided by 4, Like,
Yeah, I mean, he's not great,
Right.
but I
No.
mean, by Washington standards, he's a guy they should
he's
keep.
a good guard
Yeah.
in the league.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
He's a good right guard. He's a
Yeah.
good he's a good piece to have around for a while to help mold an offensive line that still has plenty of holes in it.
I mean, they certainly shouldn't let him go. They certainly
No.
should have done this to keep him.
Right.
Right.
And so here's my fun question. Will this be the only Ron Rivera draft pick that gets extended in Washington over the 4 years of Ron Rivera picks?
Well, I mean, did he draft Jeremy Reeves?
Jeremy
No.
Reeves?
Reeves, I believe, was there before Ronald, because I think
I
Reeves
think
was there
Reeves
for
was a pre-Rivera guy.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay. Then maybe, yeah.
It's a solid chance at this point.
Well, I mean, it depends on what Brian Robinson Jr. does this year. He has an outside chance.
Nah, Brian Robinson Jr. is average.
That's
shouldn't
why I
have
said
him.
outside chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, okay, outside, but yeah, but
I
I
think
don't
if you're
he's-
going to go outside chance guys, it's more like the Derek Forrests and the
Yeah.
other safety they drafted that has been pretty good. Like there have been a bunch of decent, pretty good safeties that maybe won't break the bank that they keep, but
I don't know. I mean, pretty good by Washington standards.
right.
Not necessarily good.
League average, if not slightly better. Not
Mm,
Pro Bowlers,
I don't know
they're-
about the better part, but okay.
Sure. All right.
Difference of opinion.
We can disagree.
Yeah.
But yes, congratulations, Sam Cosmi. You're the one good pick of
For like
2020, 2021, probably 2022.
4 years of drafts, so like
yeah,
25 to 30 players or whatever. And
right.
The only
Right.
Oh, it's brutal.
Send Ron his ring.
one.
Yeah. So, I guess there's really no good way to delve into the next topic, but it's the topic that kind of sprung up today. The
Today
story
being
about the
Wednesday.
VP of
Today being Wednesday. for
today
those
being
listening.
Wednesday, yes. The VP of content and he has a very content-y name, Rael Entienne or Entine.
I think N-teen, yeah.
Entine. Yeah. He's a teenage ent.
You want to tell everybody what an ent is, Alex, so before people start wondering?
Okay, an ent is the fictional characters from Lord of the Rings that were tree people.
I really
There
just
you-
wanted to see you make just really explain how much of a nerd you are that you knew
Oh.
that. Of course, me asking the question, knowing the answer,
You
makes
knew
me
the
say
answer,
nerd.
yeah.
Yeah, I did know the answer.
Yes. Dave knew it too. He ducked his head in shame as well because he knew it.
I'm not ashamed.
Yes. So, Rael, as we're just going to call him, he has been suspended because he was caught in a video by James O'Keefe's new outfit. Because remember, James O'Keefe got fired from his old thing
Got
for
fired
sexual
from his own
harassment,
company.
Yeah. for buying drugs on the company dime and sexual harassment.
I didn't know it was the drug part. I know it was.
I double checked online. And
I knew it was the
multiple
sexual
things.
harassment part and like just bad management, but I didn't. I hadn't
Yeah,
heard about the
there was
drug
a lot
part.
of things.
Do we need to say
Um,
allegedly, or is that out there?
Let's say allegedly, because
Okay.
he seems like
Right.
the kind of guy who just goes
Yeah.
after everybody. So, Etienne got in trouble, saying a lot of things on this on video. He thought he was on a date with a girl that he met on Hinge. So they did the whole. This is what O'Keefe does. He has fake dates and fake business meetings, and then he records
Right.
them.
And I'll say that I mean I like O'Keefe's work. He's done a lot of. He's had the two sides of James O'Keefe. For those of you who don't know, one, he's uncovered a lot of interesting stuff, and people said a lot of interesting things. The other side of him is that sometimes the people saying it aren't as influential as he's trying to make it appear. I think
Well,
that's the other side of it.
The other side is that he has re-edited videos, putting answers out of
Well,
order
he would
from what
deny
the
that.
questions
I mean,
are.
he would deny that.
Right, but he's been caught with it multiple times.
Anyway,
That's
so
also why
O'Keefe's-
he's all.
You and I are going to disagree with O'Keefe about O'Keefe, but suffice to say, he's a controversial figure for those of you who don't
He's
know.
a very controversial, failed political figure who's now doing this to the NFL. It
Right.
sounds like. So, a lot of hubbub about some of the things said in this video. I actually, even though I don't like O'Keefe, I would encourage people to watch the full 10 minutes, especially don't watch the first two where it's like highly chopped up. watch the back half of the video where you see the full answers to questions. Because honestly, some of them that they made them sound controversial are much less controversial. Some of the responses.
Yeah.
But in this video, he makes fun of fans. He makes fun of the league itself. He makes fun of Roger Goodell. He makes fun of Jerry Jones and insults Jerry Jones. He says things about players' intelligence, and that's one of the ones that really they butchered to make it sound a lot worse than it was. And I wrote down some of the full quotes, but we can go through some of these topics. One of the things he says is players are a spectrum. He was asked about player intelligence. He says it's a spectrum there. There's some players are dumb as hell, and then some are very smart. That's where the original video cuts off. He then goes on to say something that I think is the more interesting thing. There's a sad reality that is true, that some start smart and they get hit in the head so much that they don't stay smart. Now, I don't think the NFL, that's the thing that the NFL would get pissed off at.
I mean, it's an interesting way of saying that they sustain multiple head injuries that impact their brain's ability to function.
Long-term intelligence.
Yeah, which he's not wrong. Look, here's the thing, okay? And he said a lot of other things in here. He called
he says there's a lot of homophobia in the NFL at one point.
Well, he specifically tied it to African American players. He
said white Christian, 50% are white Christians who hate gays. I'm not going to say it the way he said it because
No.
But and then there's African American players who come from low income backgrounds where the homophobia is accepted.
And he talked about hip hop culture.
Right.
He called the fans. Well, and there's that. There's hip hop culture, and
there is an issue with hip hop. By the way, I live around a lot of low income African. There is an issue with homophobia in the African American community still.
I think you're not being honest with yourself if you don't admit that.
Right. I sat on the bus and listened to a guy go on a 20-minute tirade not long ago about it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
He called fans high school educated alcoholics.
Right. By the way, I did some research. We are.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. A lot of this stuff he's not wrong about, and he said some of this he said some of it in a crude way, but not a lot of it actually.
Right.
And if you listen to the whole conversation, which I blew through 5 minutes before we went on the air, it was not done in an overly salacious way, but all the same, when you are the vice president of content for a major NFL team, you have to be smarter than this. For those of you get on your free speech high horse, there is no free speech issue with a private company. Okay. No. The First Amendment guarantees your right to have the government not censor you. And by the way, the government has been censoring you if you pay attention to some of the things that the Google, who's the Facebook guy?
Zuckerberg
wrote a letter this week talking about how he was the government tried to censor another podcast. Point is, he doesn't have a right to say whatever he wants and not have consequences from his private employer. So let's get past that. So I think, while I don't even disagree with some of what he said here, he needs to be smarter than that, and he needs to present the material in a more professional way, even because he doesn't know who this girl is. That's not a spouse. It's the first time he ever met her. Or family or somebody.
On 2 dates. It was 2 different meetings. Yeah.
So that's my take on it. It's like, you're an idiot. You did this to yourself, even though you're not wrong about a lot of it.
I would venture to say the only thing I have no evidence of that I think he's wrong about, and when I say evidence, we've discussed almost everything he's said.
Yeah, I know.
We've said almost everything he said.
We have.
Right.
Except for maybe Jerry Jones being homophobic. I've never seen any evidence of that.
No, I've seen him. There's evidence of him being a hard drinking womanizer. I've never seen any evidence of him being homophobic.
There's even some evidence of racism where he was at Little Rock standing in the front of the schoolhouse and not let blacks in when he was a teenager.
That was a long time ago, but
that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yes. But at least nothing about gays.
I mean, so I will endorse the Roger Goodell is a puppet thing. I think he's 100% right about that.
I'll endorse the DEI is all bullshit and they're just doing it for money thing.
I endorse that.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones,
By the way,
along
they
with
do it
two or
with the
th-
military stuff too. If you don't think that's also just about money, it is.
what the military's
The
endorsing.
NFL
Yeah.
military merch stuff they do.
Oh, of course it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would endorse Jerry Jones along with two or three other owners really running the league. I mean,
Right.
that's true.
Kraft.
Yeah,
being
we could
the other
name
one.
them.
Yeah.
Hunt from Kansas City, probably
Yep.
another one.
Yeah, I know. I know when it comes to me, for one, for my generation, for where I grew up in, I'm not a real PC guy. I'm not a guy that really gets offended by many things. It's whatever, but but there's certain realities that some of the I'll say that some of the younger generations, some of the culture today, I think they kind of overreact a bit too much too. Now, I agree, there should be things said more in a more professional way. I mean, he's running a content for a large corporation, basically. That's being controlled by a larger entity above them, and they have to maintain a certain image, a certain level of PC, if you will.
Sure.
But I mean, but with all that said, I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, if you think homophobia doesn't exist, you're
Right.
out of your mind. I mean, it doesn't matter what walk you come from. I mean, I know some Christians will look at, well, what he said about white Christians. Can't believe he said that. Say, dude, I work at a job where I have white Christians there who will tell you you will go to hell because of the fact that
Yep.
you have all these other things going on right there. I'm like, and they hold stand to that, and they find offense in how you act. I mean, it goes on and on. It exists. It's there. It should have been done a little bit differently, sure. It should have been done in a better environment, sure, more controlled or whatever, how you want to label it. Roger Goodell, we all knew he was a puppet. Jerry Jones, we all knew that.
We know he runs
kinda,
the show.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. There's, no doubt about it. I mean, the advertisements, the way they make the money in this league today, a lot of it goes to some of the innovations that Jerry Jones had when he came into the league. I mean, the league owes him a ton. So it's just.
And even the bit about the fans. I mean, obviously, not every fan is a high school educated alcoholic and a mouth breather and all that. But what he's referring to is just a lot of drunken idiots at football games.
So
that's what he's talking about, and that's part's true. But what he's doing is generalizing more about the fans. He's generalizing far more than he should.
Well, he was generalizing about all of those.
A lot of things.
Yeah.
But so you know what you could say? You could say, she asked about culture, whatever, and you could say, there's a wide variety of cultures in the NFL, and certainly some of them, probably need to be improved and changed. I think that the hip hop culture in the league, may tend to breed some, homophobia when it's not necessary. I mean, you could have said it in a better way than just like him, like spouting off what sounds like nonsense.
Now, keep in mind, he doesn't know this is a new person doing it for the news.
Right.
He thinks
I know,
he's on
but
a
you
date.
still need to be smart about it because, again, she doesn't know this person. He's met her. You said it's the second date.
That they said there were 2 dates in it.
Yeah, so
I
mean,
clear.
you spent like a couple hours with this person. That's
right.
Yeah.
Right. But we also don't know how is she presenting herself as far as, setting up this fake date.
When you are a highly ranked person in a fairly public corporation, you need to be smarter.
Right. Yeah, it's just look, the whole thing is underhanded to get these interviews this way. It's always been the case. But, I don't think anything he said I would say is outrageous in the end.
No, I really don't think
not a single. The only things that he really shouldn't have said, and I said this after I watched it, he's going to get fired for the stuff he said about Roger Goodell, about how the NFL only cares about money. And then really,
who could deny that though? I would endorse that. Of course, the NFL only cares
there's
about
an
money.
old thing in politics. If you say something that's too true, you're not going to get elected.
It's not politics.
I think it's true in the entertainment industry.
Oh, I've said that on this show and on It's Just
but
Business.
we don't. There's a reason
times.
we also don't get press access anymore.
Well, true, because I probably said too much. But you're that's not helping my cause, Alex.
But the real sin is admitting, because he did admit it, it was sewage that dumped on people's heads. And he admitted it.
But who didn't know that? I mean, is that news?
they came up with their elaborate "it's rainwater" ruse, which made no sense.
No.
But it's kind of like confirming that a conspiracy theory was a conspiracy theory all along, right? Like we've all known this is the case, but now we know that Oswald didn't act alone, so to speak.
Okay. Yes, he did. Hint. Yes, he did. But go ahead.
I know, but I was
I
just
know your
using a
point.
conspiracy theory example.
Does
We know the
everybody
moon
know
landing
who
was actually
Oswald
done in
is?
California. How about that?
Do the fans all know who Oswald is? You're gonna have to look. If you don't know that, you're gonna have to look
I'm
it up.
sorry, I can't. People have to know references from the 1960s.
They have to.
Yes. If you don't know Lord of the Rings and you don't know the Kennedy assassination,
What are you doing? Listen
yes,
to us.
then guess what? You're a mouth breather, and
You fall into that
stop listening to this. So, but by the way, like I said, I did actually look it up because I was like, I mean, most Americans are still high school educated. It's still 2/3 don't go to college, so statistically, he's probably right there.
But
a majority.
he's talking about like the drunken idiots
Right.
who, cause more commotion than the normal people who sit in
the
the
ones
state.
who
Like
do
for every
fights.
Dave Earl, there's every 10 Dave Earls, there's like 3 or 4 drunken idiots.
Right.
But they get the most attention.
But so I did find
and just
side, Dave.
And just to clarify, I fall under the mouth breathers. That's why.
But that's because you've deviated septum issues.
Yeah, true. But
I was trying to throw you in a good pot, Dave. But
I mean, I gotta be humble too. I mean, come on.
So I did look
myself.
up the drinking habits of NFL fans. I found 2 different websites. One ranked them by team, how many beers the average fan consumes.
Oh God, wait! Don't give it out. Let me guess.
It's been done a couple times. I'm gonna go with. I'll give you the most recent. It's not hard to figure out who the biggest drinkers are. If you think about
Philadelphia for the biggest. No. How about the
Cleveland?
Go north.
I was gonna say the Packers because it's Milwaukee.
Yep. So this site claimed Packers
like
fans drink an average of 5.5 beers at a game or something like that. And the lowest I believe was Arizona, which was down at like 2 because they don't really have fans.
Well, and there are also a bunch of West Coast people who
super healthy. They don't want any calories. I know.
Right.
Yeah. So they're not humans. We don't count them.
I would fall into their category nowadays.
Yes, but you just don't drink, and it's not because of the whole West Coast culture thing.
No, it's not.
Right. Steve, I never knew you to avoid gluten until you had to.
True. That's true.
But the other thing was overall, I found another website that had like an overall drinking habits. It's like 6 beers per person is the average the NFL fans drink.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Dave, have you seen
over
people drink that much at Washington games in your couple years?
Oh, absolutely.
Too, right? You have?
Absolutely. In my row, there was this, and I'm going to see if he does it again this year. But let's
give him a name.
Steve.
Don't do that. Yeah. Okay. Just don't. Yeah. Don't give him. Don't give him.
No, but it's like it's almost like every other offensive possession, him and his wife are getting up, walking past us, and then coming back, and he's double fisting the beer. He's holding one for her, and he's walking back with the beer. And then all of it, it's like at least like 2, seems like 3 times a quarter, and just like back and forth. I'm like,
is this the guy who sits to your right? Does he sit to your right or to your left?
No, he sits to the left. He's almost in the middle.
Okay. So all right. I don't know who.
I don't know how people drive home when they drink that much, but I don't know.
So that's my thing. When I go to games, I maybe have like 1-2 beers at the most.
I drink a ton of water when I go.
Yeah.
Myself.
Yeah. And
needless to say, I'm drinking water.
Right. Also, now that I'm in my 40s, I cannot drink like I did in my 20s. Like that's. I think that's we overlook that part of a lot of it's people in their 20s just going nuts at games.
Well, that's what he's getting at, But what I'm saying is, not everybody's doing that.
No,
there's a group of people that are, and because they are so identifiable. Again, for every Dave Earl who's just there with his family and watching a football game,
Right.
every 4 or 5 of those, there's one of those idiots who's double fisting beers, and they get a lot of
Right.
attention. And so those are the people he's talking about. And I don't think it's fair
Right.
to group all the fans together like that.
And also,
Yeah.
by the way, not all alcoholics are violent. Just to be.
No,
I've,
but yeah,
I've
Unless
drank
you're in Philly.
true.
Well, yeah.
Non-alcoholics are violent in Philly, though. It's not just alcohol.
It's called
Philly.
self-defense for them.
Mhm.
Yeah. But some of us know how to hold our liquor. Is all I'm saying.
But here's the question really is: does he deserve to get suspended? Does he deserve to get fired? My answer to this is: it's a private company. They have the right to fire him for whatever. It's probably, unless he has an employment contract, he's an at-will employee. They can fire him for whatever reason they want, and that includes poor messaging that happens to get caught on video. So, while I've said a lot of the things he said in this video on this show.
I don't think
you know,
other than maybe talking about homophobia, I don't think there's anything we haven't covered.
Yeah, I don't
on
think
this
we've
show.
ever talked about homophobia here, but
Yeah.
we own our own show and nobody's going to fire us. And
Right.
Yeah.
and I think the team has every right to fire him. That's
Right.
my thought.
Right.
Or
I think they have
suspend him or whatever they've done.
they've already suspended him.
Yeah.
I would want to see the unedited videos if I were the team, but you're not going to get that. So, that's going to always make it difficult. Because if you watch it, there are definite cuts between questions and answers and splicing parts of answers together, which always is, shady. It the last thing you want to do is fire him. It comes out later he didn't say something, and then you have a whole, suit on your hands because of it.
Yeah, he's going to lose a suit like this in at-will employment. Unless he has an employment contract, he's not going to.
Well, he is a VP of something or something.
Doesn't mean he has an employment contract.
I guess he might not, but it wouldn't shock me at that level to have some kind of contract.
No, so the one thing also works
against.
Yeah.
Well, so the one thing that works against him too, anyway, is Josh Harrison company are trying to rebuild a new culture, new image.
Right, and he's not part of their thing.
Right, so it's just, this doesn't help.
Right, he's a Jason Wright guy, by the way. He came in with Jason a month later.
I mean, if this was the Snyder regime, this wouldn't even be nobody even batted stuff. Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, to be fair, this is not a guy Dan Snyder would have hired unless Wright forced it on him. I'm sure. This was
Snyder probably didn't even know who he was. I mean,
yeah. This was after Snyder checked out. Basically.
I just mean this is nothing compared to some of the stuff that came out about Snyder. That's my point.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if in the full video there's a lot about Snyder and they just didn't put it in this.
Possibly.
Because the guy spent 4 years under Snyder.
Because there's a full video. I mean, because the woman is wearing a hidden camera somewhere on her clothing, and so there's a whole, however long they were there, the camera was on. So there's much more of this than anybody's seen.
Right.
And that's, I think, Alex's point about the O'Keefe videos. He has showed some full videos, but most of them are cut down to something.
Right. And a number of his most famous ones, that was lawsuit level.
He usually wins, though. And Alex and I disagree about O'Keefe.
Right.
I'm a fan of him, but anyway.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a mixed bag with him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
It's just not the way I play pool, if you know what I mean.
Some of these people deserve it, though.
Yeah. Filmmaking and all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So, unless anyone else has anything else to say about Mr. Entine, we can move on.
Good luck, dude. Polish up your resume.
Yeah. Well, Jason Wright's going to be gone soon, too. They can start a business firm together of how not to run sports teams.
Yeah, there you go. Do the opposite of what we did.
Right. Them, and then who was the branding guy who left? And said, this was the most successful rebranding ever.
Or alternatively, it was horrible. One of those two things is right.
Yeah.
Those three could start a hell of a company. All right, let's get to the game. We are now officially into preseason or regular season. Washington's going to be in Tampa, the 4:30 game, and I said it before the show to you guys. It's always tough to kind of analyze that week 1 matchup because we don't have anything to watch that's substantive, right?
No, I mean, yeah, it's hard, but I mean, you can go with some basics, about the Packers or the Buccaneers. They were
The Bucs,
9-8.
yeah.
They won the division. They won a playoff game.
Right.
You know, they've got one of the NFL's better quarterbacks, I would say. Is that fair?
Upper half quarterback.
Upper half.
Yeah.
You know, they've got a receiver who could be in Hall of Fame someday in Mike
Yeah.
Evans. You know,
They
so
have a
from
good offense overall.
their running game kind of sucked last year.
Yeah.
You know, like they had one of the worst running games in the NFL. You know, last year, to be honest. I mean, I believe they were last in the NFL in yards per carry. But when you have Mike Evans and what's his face, Godwin,
Yeah.
you also don't need a big running game.
No, that's true. They're you know, they got a 1-2 punch at receiver. Not much at tight end either, but decent line, decent offense overall. By the way, we didn't mention it, but we should at least mention how Todd Bowles kept referring to the team as the Redskins in his presser.
Good for Todd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I don't know if he was doing it intentionally or if it's just like ingrained
I would
in him
definitely
having
do
played
it
here.
if it were I were him. So I applaud that.
Yeah. So that made a little bit of a storm in the media, not much, but yeah. The interesting thing is, if we look at their team last year, because of how they drafted, it's a lot of the same offense. It really is, because they drafted a center in the first round. Okay, that I guess helps your O-line a little. But then they really didn't do a whole lot on offense. They drafted a receiver, a running back, and a tight end in the day 3. But there's a lot of sameness here, which is interesting to me.
Well, see, I mean, then they drafted an edge rusher in round 2.
Yeah.
You know, if you didn't say that, which
No,
they need.
I was just talking offensive guys.
Yeah. But
Right.
but that the center should really help in the run game theoretically.
Theoretically, yeah. It should help overall. A good center is valuable.
But I think the trick. So the main problem I see in this game for Washington is that Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are serious big time wide receivers.
Mhm.
Mike Evans is 6'5". You know, he's a monster. He had 79 catches, 1,255 yards, 15.9 yards per carry, 13 touchdowns. Which is by far the most on the team. Godwin, 83 receptions, 12.3 yards per reception.
Over 1,000
I wouldn't call him a
yards.
possession guy, but yeah, 1,024. But he's certainly not. Mike Evans is more of the home run guy. Say it like that.
Yeah.
Those two
Mike
guys.
Evans is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he 5-time Pro Bowler. That is a serious problem for a Washington secondary that has a questionable amount of talent. That is the trick. What I put for my key to one of the first key to the game for the game preview, which will be published probably Friday or Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
My keys to the game: don't start slow. We've seen this happen before. This is not the team to start slow against. You got to go all cylinders and hope it works. Give Jaden Daniels time in the pocket. The Buccaneers were a very heavy blitz team. Like, they didn't always get home, but they blitzed a lot. They were like a top 5 blitzing team, and now they drafted an edge rusher in round 2 to help. And then the next thing is Mike Evans. Steer the pass coverage toward Mike Evans. Do not let that guy beat you. You cannot just hand him to Benjamin St-Juste in man coverage. You've got to slant a zone to Mike Evans and hope it works out for the other guys. So that's my thought in this game.
Well, I know for me, I think the one focus they need to do, because as you said, they are a blitz heavy team. They're a very fast team. They are a physical defense, and they will get after you. But the one thing that they do, they tend to over pursue at times. They tend to get, kind of get a little too fast through the lane at times, and that's why, defensively they let up an average of 4.5 yards rushing, about 121 yards rushing per game. And I think the strongest suit of the offensive line that we have is the running game. I think we could be a decent run team, not great, but decent. I mean, we can't pass block for nothing. So to me, it's almost has to be a 12 personnel, 2 tight end type set, run heavy offense, and get Jaden Daniels out on play action, RPOs, to help open up the rest of that field and get him out in the open, and have the receivers work underneath and the tight ends come across the field and on crossers and stuff like that. Everything has to be the running game, feed off of that into the short intermediate zone because you're not getting anything deep on this defense. This defense is too fast. They're too quick off the edge. Their linebackers will come in aggressively fast at you, and you're going to have a minimal amount of time for Jane Daniels to throw the ball. He's mobile, he's fast, he's quick, he's got good pocket awareness. But when they collapse a pocket the way that they can and the way that they will, he's not going to stand a chance in that. So they have to keep everything short, fed off the run game. If they don't do that, this is going to be a long game because when you go on the offensive side with those receivers, they have no one to cover the receivers, and as far as like edge rushers of our own, I mean, they're mediocre at best. I mean, you can't give it. I mean, all depends on what Dorrance Armstrong does if he takes that next step. But you're relying
on
on
hang our hat on Dorrance Armstrong.
Right, because we have nothing to go off of to say he's going to be that guy. So, I mean, that's why I'm looking at it. That's my key to the game, really.
Yeah, well, I like it, and this is just not the game to let Jane Daniels take big, long 5 and 7 step drops in the pocket and all of that.
Right.
This is not the game for that. Sorry, Alex. Go ahead.
No. I was going to say the one thing that's going to be interesting to me with Tampa is they did lose Devin White, who was a very good linebacker for them last year.
Right.
So I think that's going to have a pretty big impact on their overall play. In the end, is that that's a huge loss. Yeah, I think he was there. I know they have Levante David; he's been there forever. But White was the up and coming young superstar linebacker they had. I look at the Bucs, just looking at their roster, and it does kind of remind me in some ways of Washington. Good defensive tackles, some good linebackers, good safeties. Their corners, not so much. Like, at least there's no big names there that you're gonna be like, oh, I gotta, worry about that right away. So that does sound a little bit like Washington's defense in a lot of ways to me.
A little bit, yeah.
Because they got Vea, they have, like I mentioned, David still in the middle, and then they have Winfield at safety, who, great safety.
Right.
So I do think the passing game is going to have to be short stuff to the outside a lot. I don't think there's going to be deep shots like you were saying, Dave. I don't think there's going to be a lot through the middle either, frankly, with how they're built. So, that's going to be the tough part when it comes to going against this team, in my mind, offensively. Obviously, we don't know what to expect with how this team is going to play. We didn't see anything in preseason that's really going to tip the hand, because the offense I saw them running in practices was very different from what they showed in preseason.
They very barely played in the preseason games too, the starters.
Right.
Sure,
Yeah.
but I'm even counting like what the backups did, like the play calling itself was, hey, run it up the center. Hey, we're gonna do like maybe a screen pass. It was all very simple. You didn't see any motion. You didn't see a lot of stuff that I think you'll see in.
Well, I mean, Kingsbury also isn't known for motion in his offense.
I know he's known in the past, but they were using a lot of it in training camp.
That's interesting.
Yeah, a lot.
Now, I think a good thing here is that Tampa last year was a much better run defense than they were passing defense. Now, that goes a bit contrary to what Dave was saying. I get it. Which I agreed with, which is they need to establish a run game.
Right.
But the counter argument to that is, Tampa did blitz a lot, but their blitzing wasn't as effective as other teams who blitzed less. And their average quarterback rating against was 92, which is ranked 22nd in the NFL and below average.
Right.
Last year. So, and Washington, of course, was last in the NFL by a long shot, just for the record. So if they play it right and do what Dave suggests, which is, and it probably helps because it helped Jane Daniels in his first real game, but the quick outs, RPOs, short quick passes, all of that is going to help. And I think that's the part that they can maybe make some headway in the passing game on Tampa.
Yeah. I think that you guys, I think we're all kind of in agreement that's going to be how this game's played. That's how that's
Right.
going to be their bread and butter.
But they definitely need to figure out how to establish a game against Tampa. Even though Tampa, I mean, they gave up 3.8 yards per carry last year, which is tied for eighth.
Yeah, that's
Tied
pretty
with
good.
5 other teams though for eighth. So it was really the fourth best in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the answer is. Obviously, hopefully, my suspicion is that we will see a lot of plays to running back, passing plays to running back, screens and what have you, to kind of hopefully use that for some of the running. Just because I think you're not going to run it up the middle with Vea there at nose tackle, right? Like you're going to have to go out, get outside a lot. So I would expect a lot of tosses, a lot of screen plays, that kind of thing would be my guess.
Yeah, I got to backtrack. I do have to correct myself. I had the 2022, 2023 stats up, which was I said 4.5 yards per carry. When you said 3.8 like that, I'm like, where are you getting those numbers from? And here I had to update it where it's 3.8 since 78 yards.
You're looking at the wrong year.
Yeah.
I was looking at the
Well
wrong
done.
year, but I do know. I wish I had the numbers here, but I do know that they would let up probably, maybe not the most, definitely not the most, but definitely they let up their fair number of 10+ yard runs. I saw a couple of them with Philly alone with DeAndre Swift because of how aggressive they are in their blitz and their defense, and you can take advantage of that. But overall, consistent throughout the entire game, they are tough to run on. So you do have to find a way to break through that and establish a
But
solid
your point
run
is
game.
still valid. They need to figure
Yeah.
out how to do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And frankly, I mean, I'm not that impressed with Washington's run game. I'm really not. I'm not a big Brian Robinson fan. He hasn't
Right.
proven it.
He's
Austin
definition of average.
Austin
far.
Eckler is highly paid, but I don't know if he's going to be more than a rotational, third down back or whatever. At least he needs to prove it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, and their offensive line sucks, as we know, probably. But I don't know if Washington's going to be able to do it, but they need to.
Right.
Yeah, they definitely need to on offense through that, and I think we were talking briefly about the defense at least. The advice we give on offense, it's the inverse for the defense. You have to slow down that passing attack. Like that's going to be the bread and butter for Tampa is passes to these receivers. Double cover them both. I don't know. Like that's the only thing
Well,
I can
I
think
mean,
of.
there's only 11 players on the field, but I
Right.
get your point. I mean,
Yeah.
but if you have to pick one, I think they've got
Right,
to
you
focus
pick
on Evans. You have to.
Yes. Yeah. You don't have anyone who's a good matchup against him right now.
No.
Right?
St. Juice is best fits him from a size perspective,
right.
but that's not a matchup.
No.
want.
No. Not one-on-one.
No.
Yeah, you got to roll coverage that way. Safety
Right.
help. You know what I'm going to be very curious to see is how much they use base 3-4 or 4-3 versus nickel in this first week. Because looking at how Tampa's built, I would expect you're not so worried about that third receiver. I'm expecting a lot of 2 tight end stuff from Tampa. So I'll be curious to see how much they're bringing out, Agent Zero now. I guess we're calling him Mike Sanders still. Because he changed his number to 0.
I've
He
not
changed
heard.
his number to 0. So I'm stealing
yeah.
Gilbert Arenas' old nickname.
Well, I knew he did change his name, but that's a nickname you just made up right now.
No,
though.
I
Right.
totally stole it from Gilbert Arenas when he had that
Oh, okay.
nickname like 20 years ago.
I mean, Washington actually. I mean, the cynic in me, I think, was right last year, which is that they didn't really run a 4-3 because they did not have 3 starting linebackers.
Right.
Now they do, in
Right.
Wagner, Dante Fowler, and Frankie Louvu. Whether or not they're Pro Bowlers is another matter, but
Right.
Fowler and Louvu, obviously Wagner is, but at least there's 3 legit starting linebackers, so they can run
Right.
that defense.
Right. You have 3 legit starters. You have a good backup now with Davis. So like you can do something. You're not completely in trouble if one guy gets hurt like they were last
Well, they're
year.
going to be in trouble if Bobby Wagner gets hurt because, like, the team themselves.
Oh, they don't have a true middle linebacker than him. Yeah.
No, they team themselves only list Wagner as a middle linebacker. All the rest of them are listed as outside linebackers.
That's wild. That's so. I wonder who is technically the backup, and I probably could just bring up the depth chart and tell you that.
It doesn't have one. I can tell you, it doesn't have one.
Their depth chart doesn't even list one?
No.
What?
No.
That's insane.
That's what I'm
Every
saying.
position has a backup.
No, they're not from the case of middle line. Not unless it's been updated. I looked at it a couple
I
days
just pulled
ago.
up the team's official
Jordan
depth chart
McGee.
page.
Jordan
no,
McGee.
he's on IR.
He's on
He's hurt.
IR, but that's all they have.
Right.
all they're
Mikhail
showing.
Walker.
No,
is
they've
who
got
they have
Michael
listed.
Walker now. See, that was not.
Yeah.
They've changed this thing for this week because I looked at it a few days ago.
Yeah. Okay. So Mikhail Walker is our backup middle
Yeah.
linebacker. Also, I hate the
That's
new NFL
inspiring.
number system. He wears 32. That's so weird.
Yeah, I hate it too.
Linebackers wear 50. Like that's tradition. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So that's our backup. We have a backup. I don't know if he'd be any good if Wagner gets hurt, but
I
we
don't know
have
how good
somebody.
Bobby Wagner is anymore, for that matter. I mean, there's a reason why Seattle let him go.
That's
and-
true, but he
and
did lead
he's,
them in tackles last year.
He's 34.
Yeah. Yeah, he's up
I
there.
mean, he's not the same in coverage like he was
No.
years ago. He wasn't great at coverage, but he was good. I mean, you got to rely on him on coverage. You're going to be in trouble.
I mean, certainly by Washington linebacker standards,
Right.
he's a positive. That's
Oh,
a
sure.
very low bar, though.
I will be
Right.
highly confident that this linebacking group's going to be good against the run. That's where I'm at with them.
I think I'd also be highly confident that they're going to be a lot better than they were last year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Again, very low bar.
You want my all right? So we're kind of wrapping. Let's do game predictions and then let's do some season wild predictions.
Okay.
All right. So what are we thinking for this game?
Who goes first? You pick, Alex. You're the host.
Okay. Why don't I pick Dave?
All right. Well, I'm going to stick to my season prediction, and this will be a loss. And I think it'll end up being I think it'll be a pretty close game, like a 23-19 type game.
23-19.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little odd number in there.
All right.
19 is a bit of an odd number, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
You care to explain how they're going to get to 19 points?
They're going to miss an extra point.
It's
And then
funny
they're
you
gonna-
say that, actually, because what I didn't do before we get to predictions is go through the injury report for this game. And
Oh,
for
yeah.
Washington,
We're
I
rusty.
have it. Washington has Marcus Mariota and Jerzon Newton, and Dron Payne all limited, and Trent Scott too, all limited
Right.
this week. But and the rest of them, Coleman, Farrell, and Fowler, all full practice, but they're on the injury report. And so Deron Payne would be the only one. Deron Payne and Coleman, to the extent he starts, which would be stupid, those two guys. But the kicker actually was on the Bucs injury report this week, which is what made me think about it. McLaughlin missed Wednesday for an abdomen/illness. So bear that in mind, and so maybe
He had a tummy
Dave's
ache? The kicker had a
mixed
tummy
extra
ache.
point will come true.
Kicker out with tummy ache.
Yeah, basically. For me, yeah, I'm sticking with my preseason guess of loss. I think it's good. I think Washington will play fairly well. I think the defense will give up more points than Dave thought. So I'm going to say 24-17 Tampa.
24-17. Okay.
Well, I did say 23-19.
Oh, you
I gave
did?
Tampa
Okay,
Bay
well,
23. Yeah.
yeah, I'm going 24. So yeah, we're in the ball.
And look, I can't flip and say Washington wins because I said loss in our
Well,
guesses.
you can. I mean,
I
nobody's
can't,
going to.
But it'd be silly.
If you
silliness.
change your mind because of something you've seen in the last week, feel free to do so, and then we'll laugh
nothing.
at you.
There's nothing that's happened in the last week that's made me change my mind. That's for sure. No undercover videos have surfaced that impact this game. So I'll stick with it's going to be a loss. I think it's going to be close. I wouldn't be surprised if this is like a 21-20 loss. So that'd be my
A
I'll go with
heartbreaker.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. There's our predictions, folks.
Those are
All
our
right.
predictions. Yes. All right. So let's do some fun season predictions because we have a minute, or 5. So what are some give me some wild season predictions that you guys might have, things that you don't think are expected but could happen this year to the team.
Rail Intine gets fired.
That was unexpected up until today.
I didn't know who Rail Intine was before
Yeah.
today, actually. But
Yeah.
wild predictions, huh?
I can give one while you guys are
Go
trying to.
ahead.
All right. So here's prediction 1. The new defensive end units. We have 3 all new defensive ends. They will get more sacks than the duo of Chase Young, Montez Sweat last year. And so I think they will outperform our previous defensive ends.
Okay.
So I'll give you that as my first wild prediction.
I'll throw out there Noah Brown. I think he's going to be second on the team in receptions, yards, and touchdowns for receivers.
For receivers, interesting.
That is a wild one right
That's
there.
bold. Because my other bold one was actually that Luke McCaffrey will sneakily end up at about 800 yards this year. As a
Total?
possession receiver.
Total yards?
Yeah, total
or
yards for the
receiving
season.
yards. Total yards. Okay.
Do you want me to have a positive one or a
No, it doesn't have to be
Steve
positive.
Steve Thomas
You
negative
can
one?
go classic Steve.
Okay. I'll do a positive one first. This
All right.
isn't exactly wild, but I think Jaden Daniels will be in the top 5 quarterbacks in the league in rushing.
Okay, definitely could see it.
Yeah, I mean, like Lamar Jackson, he's not going to be Lamar Jackson, but he's in that ballpark, So
Right.
I think that's a positive, and that can only be a positive, I think, if he can run that much. I think Austin Eckler is going to be a bust.
Austin Eckler bust. Okay.
Yeah, and I think Bobby Wagner will be as advertised. I don't think he's not going to be his, all pro self, but I think he will be he's going to be a team leader. He'll be a tremendous improvement on the defense, and he's actually going to show signs of competence on the second level of the interior defense.
Okay.
I don't know if any of those were wild. So
No, those aren't necessarily. All right, let me give a wild one. This one just popped in my head.
Okay.
At the trade deadline this season, at least 2 more Ron era guys will be traded. 2 more former Ron draft picks.
Manuel Forbes.
I'm not going to say a name like Forbes
I'm
or
going to say
Jamin
Manuel
Davis,
Forbes.
but
there's my wild one. Manuel Forbes is going to get gone. There you go. Trade.
He's gone.
Yeah.
All right, that's a good one. Emmanuel. So you piggybacked off of my more fun wild one of just.
I'll drop.
Go ahead.
Let me drop in Quan Martin. I'm going to tell you that he's going to lead the team in interceptions this year.
Oh my God.
What? What makes you even think that?
You wanted a wild prediction and you got one. Okay?
That's the whole point of this segment, right? Wild predictions.
Yeah, but like everything I've predicted, I have an inkling about. I think
Quan Martin does have some talent to be a guy that's going to get turnovers, and I think Dan Quinn is a guy that plays to his defender strengths, and Joe Witt's going to be an extension to that. And Quan Martin does have talent. It's just the fact that where he was drafted for the position he was drafted for, he didn't work out that well. I think free safety is a little more of a natural position for him. He did play that in college as well, and I think Dan Quinn and Joe Witt's going to put him in a position to succeed.
I don't have faith in Quan Martin, but that is the point of the wild prediction segment.
Right.
The
unplanned wild prediction segment because we had an extra couple minutes.
Yeah, that Alex just made up.
Yeah. Well, hey man, it's called padding time sometimes.
Exactly. We didn't time this one very well.
Right. That's okay.
Okay, here's one. I like Ben Sinnott. I think Ben Sinnott is going to end up being the second stringer by the end of this. Matter of fact, by the end of the year, he's going to be the de facto number 1 tight end. They will not put him on the depth chart ahead of Zach Ertz. But by the end of the year, I think Zach Ertz is on the way down. I think Ben Sinnott is going to be the principal tight end on his
So
team by the end of the year.
He's
There you
getting
go.
the majority of the snaps.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
there you go. There's mine. My real
I
one.
like that one a lot. I like Sinnott too, man. Like
Yeah, so do I.
what we did see of him in preseason, I really like.
I just think Zach Ertz is going to be one of these classic like veteran signings that he's there and he's more of a name than an actual production. I think that's what Ertz is going to be. And Bates is just a no.
Yeah.
And so Sinnott.
I think Ertz, like you said, he's a veteran. He's there to kind of instill some like this is the leadership we want. This
Basic level of competence, maybe. I'm not trying to degrade him necessarily, but I just don't think he's going to be like.
They brought him in to get beaten out eventually by somebody younger.
Exactly.
Which is how good teams build, by the way. A lot of good teams build with, here's a 30-year-old who knows what he's doing. Go be better than him. Like that's a good way to build a team sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, I think that we had some fun predictions there.
Well, I can add just one more real quick.
Oh, okay. All right,
I think Brandon Coleman's going to struggle too much on the left tackle side. Andrew Wiley is going to continue being a turnstile that he is. I think by midseason, you're going to see Coleman over to the right tackle spot. You're going to see Wiley benched. Cornelius Lucas coming in on the left-hand side for left tackle. Not that it's a great improvement. And I think Brandon Coleman becomes our future right tackle going forward.
That's not a bad prediction.
That's not a bad prediction. And honestly, if he ends up being a decent right tackle for us for a bunch of years, I'm okay with that too in the long term.
Yeah,
that's a decent for a third round pick. I mean, that's a solid.
That's what you want.
Yeah,
you want them to become a solid starter somewhere.
I think only the most sycophantic fans out there think Brandon Coleman's going to walk in and become like Trent Williams.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Most of us didn't even realize Trent Williams was going to become Trent Williams.
Trent Williams was a right tackle at Oklahoma for a good bit of his time there.
Right. And he was talented. I think we all knew he was going to be super talented, but I don't think any of us knew he was going to be
not a Hall of Famer. Yeah, he's holding out, by the way. I don't know if he ended his holdout.
He ended it today.
Yeah, he did.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they gave him a new deal too, extension or something like that.
Big deal. Big extension.
That's, I think, Ron Rivera's biggest sin was not making nice with Trent Williams.
Yeah. Well, that sin spans several people.
But Ron Rivera was the new guy. He could have come in and said, look, Trent, I know all this is awful, happened to you. I'm really sorry about it, but none of this is my fault. You're very valuable to this team. You mean a lot to me personally. We're going to make it right with you. Tell me what I need to do for this team to make it right. And he didn't do that. He just went, we're going to trade him for a bag of chips.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the even worse part is they got nothing for him.
Yeah.
Ostensibly.
As my dad would say.
He may be the best football player in the league overall right now at this point. Well,
I don't know about
right
that,
now,
but yeah, he's in the upper crust. Say it like that.
And you didn't even get a second round pick for him? Come on.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right, guys. That should wrap up this show. We're gonna go argue about the politics of video editing later on off air.
You want to join us for the after show?
The after show. All right, everyone enjoy the game. Eat too much food. Don't drink too much beer. Or do. I really don't care. Just don't drink and drive.
Just don't.
Yeah,
just
don't drink and drive if you're at.
Yeah, right.
All right. Later.
See it.